All right, so welcome to another deep dive, and today we're going way back, like way back to ancient Greece.
Always a good place to visit.
It is a good place to visit, especially when you've got, texts like Plato's Laws and Augustus's Res Gestae.
Talk about a contrast.
Yeah, we've got like one is a philosophical dialogue, really getting into it, and the other, well, let's just say it's an emperor. It's an emperor bragging about himself quite a bit.
It is a bit of self-promotion, yeah.
But both of them actually have some interesting things to say, some surprisingly relevant things to say about how we think about law, virtue, and the kind of society that we want to live in.
And that's what's so fascinating about looking at them side by side.
Hmm.
They come from these completely different places, but they touch on these really, really fundamental questions about how power works, and what it means to live a good life.
Yeah. So let's jump in with Plato.
Okay.
So his laws, it starts us off in a conversation between these three older guys. You've got the Athenian stranger, Cleinias, who is from Crete. And then you've got Megillus, the Spartan, and they're just hanging out, walking to the sacred cave, and they decide to pass the time by figuring out, well, how would you actually build the perfect city?
Just like that, huh?
Just a casual stroll.
It's like a good way to spend an afternoon.
I know, right? Well, for Plato, it was serious business. He wasn't just interested in laws that kept everything running smoothly. He actually believed that laws should actively, they should be shaping the character of citizens. They should be pushing them toward virtue.
Yeah, he sounds a little intense, right?
Well, he definitely had high hopes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most striking things about laws is just how incredibly detailed it gets. Plato's micromanaging everything, what music is allowed, how you buy and sell things. He even has rules about drinking parties.
Wait, hold up. Drinking parties.
Drinking parties.
I thought we were supposed to be talking about virtue here. This doesn't sound very virtuous to me. Well, see, that's what's so interesting about Plato. He spends a lot of time on these drinking parties, which they called symposia.
Oh, okay.
But his point is that how people act when they're having fun, even when they've had a little too much wine, can reveal a lot about their character. And for Plato, character was everything.
So, even our leisure time should be focused on, being better people.
You got it. And he actually believed that, done right, these symposia could help people develop self-control, build strong bonds with each other, and even have those deep philosophical conversations. But it wasn't all fun and games. He lays out some pretty strict laws too. Soldiers, no drinking on duty, which seems reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, that still applies.
Right, right. And he insisted that every single citizen had to be skilled in at least one craft.
Everyone had to have a job.
Everyone, even the rich folks.
Wow. So no trust fund kids, just hanging around. Everyone's got to work.
That was the idea. But here's the catch. You couldn't just be a jack of all trades. If you were a carpenter, you had to stick to carpentry.
Really?
No branching out into blacksmithing on the side, no matter how tempting that forge looked.
Wow, talk about specialization.
Right.
So he really thought that every little detail mattered when it came to building a good society.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He gives this analogy of a puppet being pulled by the strings of pleasure and pain. Like we're all susceptible to temptation.
Right.
So the laws need to be there to guide us in the right direction. Even something as, seemingly small as a song could influence a person's character.
Right.
And so he was super picky about music and poetry.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Even children's songs had to meet his standards.
Okay, I'm starting to get some real control freak vibes from this guy. Did he ever get out and have any fun?
Well, I mean, let's not forget, he was writing all of this in a dialogue, in a conversation. Clearly, he enjoyed a good debate, a good exchange of ideas.
That's true.
But you're right, he was incredibly serious about the role of law and in shaping not just individual lives, but the very soul of a society. Yeah.
I mean, it makes you think, though, right? How different our world is from Plato's vision. Would his ideal city would it even work today? With all this stuff, all the technology, everything's so different.
Oh, it's a fantastic question. It really is. And it makes you wonder, too, what Plato would make of Augustus.
Yeah.
He takes this much more, shall we say, practical approach to leadership.
Right, yeah. Let's talk about Augustus. Let's get into the res gesti, because it really is like night and day, compared to Plato's deep dive into philosophy. Augustus is pretty much just like bragging about all the cool stuff he did. As an emperor, all the temples he built, the games that he funded, the wars that he won. It's like a Roman emperor highlight reel.
It really is.
Yeah.
And remember, Augustus isn't trying to design some perfect society from scratch, right? He's working within the structures of Roman power that are already there, and he's trying to prove that he's the best guy for the job. And for Augustus, that means showing tangible results.
It's funny though, because some of the things that Augustus celebrates, like expanding the empire by military might, those are exactly the kinds of things that Plato would probably see as a threat, like a threat to stability, to his ideal city.
Oh, absolutely. And it shows that that really fundamental difference, right, in how they look at power. Plato believes in these philosopher kings, wise rulers who guide everyone towards virtue. Augustus, on the other hand, he's much more focused on personal glory and making Rome more powerful, expanding the empire, even if it means using military conquest.
So you've got, like, on the one hand, you've got Plato, the idealist, who's saying that leaders should be shaping souls and encouraging virtue,
Right.
and then you've got Augustus, the pragmatist. He's basically like, look at all the cool stuff I did. That's what makes me a great leader.
Right, and they both kind of touch on a really, really important point in their own way, which is the role of culture, right, and maintaining this stable and thriving society. So you have Plato who's saying, we need to create this culture of virtue through carefully made laws, and even controlling things like music and poetry, which we talked about.
It is interesting because even though Augustus is he's all about the military victories and the public works projects, he also spent a lot of time and energy on promoting traditional Roman religion, restoring temples. He even used those lavish games that he was funding to try to shape public opinion, to try to reinforce certain values.
That's a great point, and it shows that even a leader like Augustus, he was very much a man of action. He understood that holding on to power, it requires more than just brute force. You have to appeal to what people believe, their aspirations, even if it's through something like a chariot race.
Yeah. So even though their approaches were like completely different, right? Both Plato and Augustus recognized that culture and power, they're kind of tied together. It makes you think about how leaders today try to influence our culture. Think about like public health campaigns or even economic policies. They're all trying to kind of like shape our behavior in certain ways.
Yeah, for sure. They're definitely trying to shape how we act, what we do, and the question is, how much of that is intentional. And is it always good?
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. Here we are, thousands of years later, and we're still wrestling with these same questions, about power, leadership, what makes a society good. Are we any closer to figuring that out than Plato and Augustus were?
I think that's the eternal question, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so valuable to go back and look at these ancient texts. They hold a mirror up,
Yeah.
to our own assumptions. They make us question things that we might just take for granted.
Yeah. When we started this deep dive, I thought we were just going to be talking about some, dusty old philosophical ideas, but it really has made me think about how those ideas, they're still shaping the world around us, today.
Yeah. That's the thing about big ideas, right? They kind of transcend time and place. And both Plato and Augustus, even though they had such different approaches, they were both grappling with something really fundamental about human nature. We crave order. We want to believe in something bigger than ourselves. We're always looking for ways to make sense of the world.
And those desires can be channeled in so many different directions, right? You've got Plato, who thinks that the answer is a society that's, built on virtue.
Yeah.
And it's guided by these wise philosopher kings. And then you've got Augustus, who's basically saying, just give me the power and I'll make things better. I'll build temples, I'll conquer enemies, I'll make Rome, the greatest empire that's ever been seen.
Right. And in a way, they're both right, and they're both wrong. This tension, right, between idealism and pragmatism, it's something that every society has to figure out how to deal with. This struggle between trying to create this perfect world and dealing with the realities of human nature. Human nature is messy.
So what's the takeaway here? I mean, should we be trying to build our own version of Plato's Republic with, perfectly crafted laws and education designed to make everyone virtuous? Or should we be more like Augustus, focusing on, getting results, even if it means maybe compromising some of those ideals along the way?
I don't think there's an easy answer to that, and that's okay. Maybe the real lesson here is that the journey itself is just as important as the destination. The process of asking these questions, debating them, trying to figure out what makes a good society. That's what keeps us moving forward.
It's like we're all on that pilgrimage with Plato's Athenian stranger, with Cleinias, with Megillus, trying to find our way to that sacred cave of wisdom. And then along the way, we're gonna meet some interesting people, and have some pretty thought-provoking conversations. Who knows? Maybe we'll even discover a few things that can help us build a better world ourselves.
And wouldn't that be something? To take the wisdom of the ancients and use it to light our own path forward. It's a good challenge, right?
Great.
Something to think about.
It is something to think about. So for all of you out there, keep thinking about it, and we'll be back with another deep dive soon.